Hello and welcome to another episode of Exteriors by Gary Whillock. It's a beautiful morning. It's got me squinting a little bit. The sun's real bright. We are surrounded by a lake. This is actually in Harker Heights. We've done a number of projects on the hilltops in Harker Heights, and it is an absolutely beautiful home that we're working on. Wonderful lot, wonderful views from up here. It's a pleasant day to be working, and the crew has just started. Currently they are doing some demolition, doing the tear off of this shingle roof. This is a high wind area, and due to the high winds, the owner wants this to be very secure. They want it to be energy efficient. They want it to be cost effective long term. I love it when people think long term. So much in our society today is not that way. So what you see the guys doing now is simply getting the shingles off. Then the underlayment, there's two layers of underlayment. There's a blue synthetic that was installed just a couple of years ago. And again, the storms come through so frequently here that roofs get replaced here very, very often. The setting around the lake, the wind area, the general location, very, very common coming out of hill country in Texas, that this area gets hit more often than most. And I've done a couple of composite roofs up in this area nearby. This is actually Harker Heights, very close to Killeen and very close to Belton. So the area gets hit often with storms. This is going to probably be the last roof they ever have to do. It's going to be a standing seam metal roof, and we're going to try to capture as much as possible as we do the work, the different steps. And I'm going to go around right now and show you why I come out to the project early. And as the demo starts, as the tear off happens, I come out and look around and find the things. There's several parts of this we're going to have to do, and I'm going to show you up front what those. So let's go take a look at some of the details that we look for, that we want to plan in with the metal crew as they're here, so it can be done seamlessly and all the difficult parts handled as they go. Let's go take a look. Now these little areas are key areas that we find people struggle with. It's very important to do these correctly. This is really not set up to re-roof at all. You can see they're relying on caulk against that fascia there. The panel either has to go beneath the fascia and under that soffit, or indeed it needs to turn up and go up under the drip edge to the side of it. And I will be making the determination on that depending on how many are which way today. So this is one area here. This is also a high volume water area because all the roof above it falls in this little less than 3 feet area right here. Another area that we want to do, we're installing a mansard brown McElroy metal roof on this, 24 gauge steel, Kynar coated with mansard brown. So once we install the roof, that flashing up there will just look hideous and cheap. So that flashing will be replaced with a flashing over it that is indeed the same 24 gauge. Now that takes a special skill, and that's why we have one of my key guys coming to do that. Is you cannot just stick a piece of metal on that. You have to get it into the mortar. You have to get it into the mortar correctly with a correct turn back on it, and you have to mortar it back in correctly. If you caulk that, you're just setting yourself up for failure 3-4 years down the road. Now it's the same on the other side, the exact same scenario on this house, on this gable roof. This is actually the entry roof, the gable in the entryway. And so on this side, you see it's got the exact same scenario. Both here on the wall with that flashing, that needs a new flashing to match the roof. And on this little area here, it's the exact same as it was on the other side. This area is much wider, but the area here. So we have to either go all the way up with a panel turn that goes up under the drip edge, all the way past where the fascia is touching the roof, or we have to get a panel up under that fascia. And as we get it tore off, we'll be able to see that more clearly. Little birdhouses on the front of the house, you see there, you see this one here, You see 2 on the entryway and then 2 on the side over on the other side. These are very time-consuming little things to do. That will need a little flashing to seal it up against the wall up there. And still, we got to get the panel underneath here, and there's a real small little section of hip that comes out on that. So these are very, very busy little areas to do the work on. Not very many pieces go up there, but each one of them requires a lot of detail, a lot of work on that. This is the lowest slope on the house, about a 3/12 pitch, maybe a little bit less than that. And we've got this same scenario where the fascia goes all the way down to the decking. And then the only thing keeping this roof from leaking right now is this caulk joint. Caulk joint in this Texas sun. Not such a good idea. It just dries up and goes away, and those 30 and 50 year and lifetime warranties those caulk people all talk about have some excuse why that's not going to work. You already see the caulk on this. This roof's been on here for 2 years. You can already see it's pulled loose, cracked, and broken in multiple places here, but this is the first one I saw. Let me see if I can hone in on it. See the caulk is just disintegrated right there. Totally is just coming apart, pulled loose, separated, and that's what caulk will always do. This little gutter piece I have to come off here. It's just a single piece running the water back over here where the caulk is broken. Poor planning there. This needs a cap on it. This needs an outlet on it right here. Down here, down below this 7/12 pitch, there is the same scenario where they're bringing the water over from here, dumping it right onto the shingles where the caulk joint is. The only thing keeping that from leaking is the caulk joint. You're getting all the water from there to there, no downspout until it gets into this gutter down below. That's not good, so that needs to go away. This area again would need to be covered with the metal roof from the point that the fascia touches the roof on up. It's not big enough to worry about it being painted to match, just like this one over here behind the gutter. It's just not big enough, has no value being painted to match the trim work. Here, this exact same scenario, but we also have underneath, we've got this siding. Let me see if I can get the camera to adjust to the darkness under here. And you see that the shingles run over, and there is a L flashing or a turn back flashing for shingles. So this siding will have to come loose to get a proper flashing on for the new metal roof and or a panel behind. This little dam that they got to divert the water, little diverter, that's going to have to be altered. Probably a small gutter there with a side downspout going down to the gutter below. Well, when you're doing a roof, the crew that's going to do the tear off typically, they're a labor force. So there's not a lot that you can count on them for to really protect and make sure. You always want to coach. You always want to make sure that they have the basics down. But there's things that they don't even think of. For example, as they turn the trailer in here, you can see we've left some pretty large tire marks on a driveway that, except for our marks, is pretty clear. Where they had to wiggle the trailer in up at the garage to get it close enough that they could actually get the shingles from the roof to the garage, and that's really what we want to do. If it's possible, we can stay on concrete surface. That's exactly what we want to do. But the turning inevitably creates tire marks that you can see, and you can see this one going across here, multiple ones here where he was trying to jockey that trailer over. It's a large trailer, it's a dump trailer, and it had some stuff on it when they got here from the previous job, and now it's going to be even heavier as they leave it. So these tire marks are going to increase as that happens. You can see the tires all the way to there where they were going a little bit sideways, being forced around and leaving a good tire mark. So I've got the local power wash guy. He's actually a concrete and power wash, and I really like that because he understands concrete. And he's going to be coming by to take a look at this, and as we wrap up the project and get the trailers out of here, including the metal. That'll be on a heavy trailer too. The metal is incredibly heavy. Once we get that done and gone, I want to get him in and get this washed off. All right, we're back, and they're starting to put on the underlayment. You can see they've got decking. They've cleaned up the decking, got the nails out. A few of the nails were in too tight, so those were driven in deeper. There's insulation underneath. It's a foam insulation. So the nails underneath really does no harm, but you want to remove all you can. This roof has been roofed a couple of times, original time, then a hailstorm came through, and that roof we removed. So there's 2 layers of felt. One was synthetic, one was the original black felt, and we're hardly seeing any of that anymore. But what they're doing is installing this is actually a Tarco. This is actually a Tarco PS200 underlayment. It's an ice and water protection. It's a self-adhered peel and stick product, but you notice that they're nailing at the very top edge of that, and then those nails and tin caps are actually using a tin cap, which is just a little 2-inch piece of tin, shooting the nail through that so it will not penetrate or pull through easily the ice and water shield. So they're nailing that above, and then the next sheet covers over those nails. So there's no exposed nails. There's no nail holes to leak in this. Ice and water shield is not self-healing. I've heard people say that. I've seen it said on videos. It's not self-healing. It is only self-gasketing, meaning as a nail goes through it, it seals around that nail. If you end up having a lot of other nails in it and you pull those nails out, which is what they did on another project, it creates penetrations that do not close up. That will create holes, and of course the roof leak. The ice and water shield is a great protection. In this case, we have the insulation in the attic, and this is where it comes in so good. You don't even want condensation happening because the insulation will trap that moisture between the 2 layers, and you just don't want that. Ice and water shield is a good way to prevent that, keep that moisture completely on the outside. But there is a lot to putting it on right. There is a lot to installing it correctly. The construction site never ends. Here they installed a little 1x2 drip rail. Now the drip rail is not over the fascia, it's actually above the fascia, and you can see it's 3/4 of an inch here and like a 1/4 inch right here with the reveal. So water coming down here, cascading down here, once the caulk cracks would go in right there, and or in this situation, the caulk never was caulked all the way here, so any water running down this just goes in right there. The liquid adhesion, molecular attraction, and trust me, if you don't think water run down your arm, hold your arm at this level, getting water on it, and it'll come back all the way to your body. The water will adhere to that. So this was set up to leak from day one. Now it's not going to rot the hardy, it's just going to rot the wood behind the hardy, which means the hardy will eventually let go. This needs to be corrected. It's got to be corrected. We're going to take this off, we're going to put a filler in there, and then we're going to have the drip edge come all the way past that with the new metal roof. Here we're going to install a 1x4 on top, a little filler here, and then a 1x4 on top, get past this, and then the drip edge is going to be here. On all the rake edges, a 1x4, which is going to be the hardy. It's actually 3/4 of an inch by 3.5 inches, almost 3.5 inches. And then the drip edge will be coming down 2 inches. That'll leave a nice architectural reveal right there on this rake edge.